Jennifer Lopez. Hello, my name is.
We're all those things. We're everything that you ever heard. Clapped. Fuck it.
Run
Left
that
hooks
shit.
are free, right hooks are always half off. We have had some stupid technical difficulties today. Dude, I think I'm going to start making an OnlyFans. I'm just going to blur my face out.
Why blur your face? Just
Y'all
make an
know me.
OnlyFans, period.
Because my
Just
tattoos.
leave it. You got the dark mark now.
Because this ugly mug, people don't really like that anyway. Yeah, I got tatted. I went to the Dunhams. Do you guys have Dunhams in Ohio?
Yeah, I remember Dunhams.
The Dunhams. Dunhams, the trash sporting goods store.
Basically Dick's retarded cousin.
Ooh. Ooh. Starting off strong.
Spicy.
The dicks with a extra chromosome. But that doesn't mean more. It actually means less. That's what he meant.
The Dutch land.
Sidebar from that. I'm over here. I'm like, I'm being nice to people, right? Indiana people are nice. I'm gonna be nice. So I'm over here and I'm like, oh, you're almost done with the day, and she's like, no, I actually just started. And she's like, I like your tattoo. And I was like, forearm tattoos do this to women, I guess.
Interesting.
Like,
Interesting theory.
She could not speak to me without laughing, and I was not the first one in line. And she did not do this with everybody else that was ahead of me.
Ooh, she liked you. What's the demographics? Talk to me.
That's what I mean.
47.
Not my wife.
You notice more than the fact that she's
Start
not
there.
your wife. All right, fine. Let me play. I'll play this game with you. You're at Dunham's, which is the Deutschland version of Dick's Sporting Goods. So I'm assuming she's pale face, round of eye.
Pale face.
Pale face, round eye.
Round of eye.
She got sandy blonde hair.
No. Brown hair,
Brown hair, close enough. All right, brown hair. She's
I think.
short, skinny, but a little chubby. Skinny fat because she eats a lot of French fries, and she's from the Midwest where working out makes you pretentious.
No, she was twiggy.
Ew, even better. Okay, so we got a twiggy little thing. Was she about 27?
She was... No idea.
Well, you need to have some sort of idea, sir.
She was probably more like early 20s.
She needs... Okay, she's confidently
Is
over
it
18.
weird that I...
We're not referring to a child.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay. See, these, you've seen the
No.
status of social media these days, and yes, I did say status. Check the status report. We
the
don't
data.
need you ending up like
The
every
status,
other
the data.
podcast host / comedian there is.
With a issue with children's.
I can't get canceled before I ever make it. That ain't gonna work for me.
Yeah, no, she was very giggly when speaking to me, and I called Michaela and I was like, hey, you got to watch these Indiana women. I got this forearm tattoo now, and apparently that makes women giggle at me. Things I've never had done. I've never actually spoke to a woman that I could tell like couldn't maintain composure. I was like, really? It's just the tattoo, huh?
Oh, she's straight.
Like, it's
smitten
that
by
bad?
you. Swooning.
Yeah, it was weird. I was concerned.
Interesting.
If y'all want that, get yourself a forearm tattoo that also extends to the hand, and make sure it's something fuckboy like a snake.
Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Lopez.
That wasn't a terrible Mexican accent.
I've been practicing.
I actually
singing.
thought you were Jennifer Lopez for like 2 seconds.
We built the same. Extra thick.
Goddamn.
It's hot out here, boy. I'm out here with the skinny boy clothes on, but I ain't skinny. I'm thick and pasty, but it's 90 effing degrees where I'm from, so let's go.
So I think in the midst of all this, we should talk about relationships. So from your standpoint, do you like to have a level of control over your significant other?
I don't want to control my significant other at all. I just want my significant other to allow me to feel confident in their loyalty and then like respect and like make me feel comfortable enough that I don't need control to feel satisfied and safe.
Okay. So I don't like to necessarily control. I just like us to know. Okay, so I guess I do, but I'm willing to give up the quarterback role when I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. That's kind of how, like, I always have like a team aspect. Like I'm never out here like you're not the shooter and I'm not the point. You know what I mean? Like I'm okay with you being the shooter. I don't got to be the shooter, the point, the rebounder. I don't have to be Russell Westbrook. I don't want to be Russell Westbrook.
I feel you.
Like I've had to be Russell Westbrook for 20 something years of my life. Not 20 something years, but 18, so 10 years ish of my life. I had to be Russell Westbrook, and I like having a teammate, right? So, like, and this is how I view control. Like, I don't want to be everything, right? But if it's a situation in which I'm Kobe, give me the fucking rock.
Facts.
That's how I am.
I think
right, and this doesn't have anything to do with like manipulating my team or anything like that. When it comes to my wife, like when it comes to babies, she's Mike, right? Like she can take the jumper, she can tell me when I need to show up for practice, right? Like that's all her. When it comes to managing a lot of the bills and stuff, it's probably leans towards me a little bit more, right? I have more restraint when it comes to purchases. I kind of have a better feel for where the money's standing, that kind of stuff. But none of this is like I'm gonna manipulate her emotionally so that she sticks around.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
What's it look like when it's not something so cut and dry like children, finances? What about if it's just like matters of opinion, like things that like aren't that significant but can cause rifts?
I would actually say that I'm a little bit more controlling with like the thoughts, right? I like to be challenged and I like to argue about stuff. I like to really ponder my opinions on things. But in the same breath, I also feel like I know what the fuck I'm talking about because I like to do that. That's one of my hobbies, is constantly debating with myself and other people on that front. But I'm willing to listen. But like I said, sometimes I guess we don't really have many. We don't butt heads over like social issues or that many opinionated matters. It's just, we butt heads over who didn't do the dishes or, whose idea it was to get the dogs.
Things that could be blatantly attributed to fault. Like, you forgot to do the dishes. It was your idea to get the dogs. Yada, yada, yada. There's not a lot of, like, perceived gray area in those moments. You know what I mean? Those are the ones that concern me, is, like, when those things are purely a matter of perception and opinion, it's like, how do you handle those moments?
So one of the things, she's like a Sith Lord. She likes to work in absolutes. She's like, I always take the dogs out or something of the sort. And I'm like, you don't always do anything. Like you always freaking sleep in the bed? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like there's not many things in our relationship that are always. Yeah. And I'm willing to like concede to an always. But she likes to use that exaggeration to say that she does it the most. And she's gotten better at being like, I do things the most. But that's like the only weird gray area that we butt heads on.
Is so
I always take the trash out.
Even in that right there, you didn't really address my question You more addressed her choice of verbiage. You know what I mean? Because I say this to say this. I feel like the way I speak is not a literal. My flow is not literal. I say things like, "Oh, I always do this" or "always do that." And I don't mean that I do it every single time. I'm just portraying that the majority of the time. You know what I mean? When I say always, I'm not meaning it in a literal sense. And I feel like you take those in a literal sense. You're like, no, you don't. I did it once. You know what I mean? But
so for me, the reason why I don't like that, so the reason why I knock that is because it hurts my feelings. That's the reason why I don't do that, is because it makes it, because while you're saying that you always do something, you're also trying to portray to me that I'm not doing it enough.
But let me ask you this. What if you aren't doing it enough? And that's the whole reason she's talking to you, is because she's bothered by having to either, I don't know, I'm just going to call it a burden. I don't know the exact extent of the scenario, but maybe this thing is becoming burdensome to her, and she's asking, this is her approaching you for like some reprieve, some assistance, some help, and then you just shut her down because of her choice of words.
I don't, well, if you're going to come to me and try to resolve something, then you should probably not be a dick. That's how I view it.
Yeah, but you're being a dick now too.
Facts.
It's like,
does
you being a dick, or does her choice of word green light you? Does her choice of word green light you to be a dick?
Sometimes, yeah.
I mean, probably there's probably sometimes.
When she's being like, so if she's like, I always clean the house, right? She'll say she always cleans the house. And I'm like, okay, she's being combative with that statement. Like she's not just being like, hey, I feel like I always clean the house, right? That's totally different. I'm willing to lay down my guard when someone says, hey, I feel like I'm always doing this, because that's trying to create resolution. Right? You're communicating with me that it feels this way to me, right? And you're not just attacking me about it. But when you're like, well, I always clean the house. Okay. You want to talk about this now? Like, how about the fact that you always make it dirty, or you always leave your tajin laying out on the freaking counter. You always leave the dishes in the sink with a bunch of shit on them. You know what I mean? Like, you want to play that game? Like, we can play the always game.
Okay, so what happens?
You know what I mean?
What happens
when you're combative?
Okay, I'm going to come at you combative, but I'm not going to be literal. Hey, Chris, I feel like most of the time I have to clean the house and you barely ever help. I don't like what's up with this. What's happening here?
In what way would you like that to change?
I just don't think it seems right that we both live here and I'm the one that has to spend the overwhelming majority always cleaning up.
In what way would you like me to help? Like, in what way would you like this balance of chores to change? That's how it would come at you.
You guys have those chores, like lists?
I want to know what you want. No, I just want to know what you want.
I just want you to take the initiative sometimes and be considerate and clean the house.
Okay. I'll work on that. But you see, that's not very... You're not helping me a whole lot.
How so? I mean, like, you live there,
motherfucker.
You know what needs cleaned.
But it depends. Like, some shit she likes to do. You know what I mean? Like, which one? What do you want? What do you want? What is particularly annoying you? I want to know because I want to help.
Interesting. And would you? If she was like, I don't know what to pick because I don't fucking live with y'all too, so I don't know what to like continue this very now detailed scenario.
Yeah, I know. So you lived with me though. If you came to me and you said, "Hey, I feel like I always clean the guest bathroom and you use it the most." If you came to me with that, like I'd be like, oh, "Okay." That like you told me what you wanted. You
Wow.
told me that you would like me to change that common area, change up the balance of powers within that common area. You know what I mean? So you've also inherently given me freedom to address that in the way I want to address it. You know what I mean? Like you've done something, you've specified enough for me to get it.
Okay.
Because the truth is, I'm not going to clean your room. You see what I'm saying? Like if you're like, I always clean the house, and let's say that you always clean the house whenever your room gets trashed, and then you also clean everything else that's 10% dirty. To 0% dirty. Like let's say that when your room hits 90 that you clean the rest of everything.
Okay.
And then you bitch about me not cleaning the rest of everything. Because I have a certain point in which I say that I'm going to clean something. Right? Like I live my life like that. Right?
Okay.
So I don't just crackhead clean the whole house. That's not me. I don't do that. I'm more of like a spot clean kind of guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm
Like,
a crackhead clean kind
today.
of guy.
Yeah, and so is she. And then she'll also say things like, I like to crackhead clean because it's therapeutic for me. It's like, well, I don't. So, like, you're not going to catch me just randomly just doing the entirety of the house.
Like,
that's why I'm like, what do you want more? Like, what do you want me to hit before you decide to crackhead hit it?
yeah, like
You know what I
Poop
mean?
blows bulldog glitter constantly from his back, and like sometimes it gives me anxiety just thinking that even though I just swept and vacuumed and mopped, it's like no matter what I do, there will always be bulldog glitter on this floor. Like that just gets me riled
Right.
up.
So, for me, like she said that I wasn't doing the dishes.
These are
Like,
still things.
She was like, I always do the dishes, right?
Yeah, but these are still things
And
to
I
me
was
that
like, well,
have fault.
you always trash the
attachments.
dishes. Yeah, for sure.
I'm trying to like my initial point of that question was like I want something that isn't fault based, purely like perception opinionated, like subjective. Like not something
What?
like you do at your house
me.
that you can like attribute like physically with empirical evidence. Like I don't
How about me going to the bar till 4 o'clock on a Friday night? Would that hit?
possibly. I mean, depending. Throw it at me.
So she didn't like me. So I went to the bar and I stayed out till like 4, and she didn't like that.
What'd she say?
She said that, she was upset that I didn't tell her I was going to be out that late.
Mm. And when you go out, do you guys
And
always like
so-
establish like I'm gonna come home, like I'm coming home at this time, or you guys just kind of like I'm going out, I'll hit you up later type of thing?
So we kind of just have usuals. Like I'm usually home by 2, usually home by 1 to 2 in the morning. But if I'm not home at 4 and she's like, then like she got nervous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She didn't know where I was.
I mean, yeah, in my mind, if you're gonna break the usual, like a text message is fair.
Yeah. We established that though.
Oh, that was basically the gist of that.
But it took. Well, yeah, she called her friend and like she was talking with her friend about it, and her friend, was like, "Yeah, that's not cool," And I heard that, and I said, while she was on the phone, I said, "You can tell her I don't give a fuck what she thinks."
Oh, that's something that'll bother me is like, I'm all about confiding in your friends and venting through your friends, but if it's something that you have an issue with me that needs to be addressed with me, like you should probably address it with me either before or shortly after. Like don't be just clucking to your chickens and the hens in the fucking rooster house, especially right in front of me. That would piss me off. Like, you know what I mean? Like I know you're going to talk to your friends. I know you're going to ventilate. That's fine, but like if you really bothered, I feel like it does something to have it timely spoken on instead of getting other people's opinions convoluting your fucking actual thoughts.
Yeah. So the issue that I had with that whole scenario is that I get off at 11 o'clock at night, right? So I work from 1 to 11, and I went to the bar till 4, right? Well, between the hours of 11 and 4, there's nothing to do socially in this town besides go to the bar. I'm not going to go bowling.
Can't go to the casino.
You know what I mean? I can't go, to the casino. I can't go to jiu-jitsu. I can't go do that kind of stuff, right? I don't have like out and about social interactions that I can do with other people.
You got the honky tonk.
Also,
that's it.
my wife is asleep, right? So, and she has work the next day, so she's off limits for hanging out time right now. Right?
Understood.
So in that situation, I don't have anybody that I can occupy my time with. I don't have a baby at home. I'm not going to go home and wake the dogs up and get them all riled up. I'm not going to cause a bunch of noise at the house. I can go home and play video games, which I do sometimes. But I don't really have a whole bunch of people during a Friday night that I can go play video games with, right? So where do I go socially?
Facts.
Right?
I think it's
And a lot of people would say, well, you just go home. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do at home?
Well, and I think it's good to point out too that like you're not working a 9-to-5 lifestyle. Like you get off late at night, so this is still like your 1 to 2 in the morning is someone else's 5, 6 in the afternoon.
Right. So that's what I told her. I was like, so if I got off at 3, right? Let's say I get off at 11, I come home at 4. That's 5 hours. But if I got off at 3, so 15 plus 5, that's what?
8
10 o'clock at night.
Came home at 8.
No, 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
8 o'clock at night. 2,000. Jesus Christ, Chris.
3 plus 5, my friend. 3 plus 5.
I know, right? What an idiot. So 8 o'clock, and that was the argument I made. I said, well, your friends don't hang out with friends till 8 o'clock in the morning, or till 8 o'clock at night. It's like I can't go out and hang out with the boys.
Yeah, I mean,
till 8.
And I don't see like why that's not cool. Like I get to an extent like being worried and not knowing that you're going to be out that late. Like yeah, but that's it. But as far as like the timing in itself and the act, I don't see an issue with.
So it was the time mixed in with the what. It was both put together, right? Because there's nothing wrong with the time and there's nothing wrong with the place. But when you mesh the time and the place together, then it starts to get worrisome, right? Because if I'm out at the bar till 4, well, that kind of changes things. If I was out at the bar at 6, she probably wouldn't be worried at all, right?
Yeah.
Because she'd be like, oh, he's at the bar at 6. Like, he's just there probably having a quesadilla and a drink, right? But when you're there late, it kind of seems like, well, maybe, I'm talking to people that I shouldn't be talking to, or
fucking somebody.
Maybe I left the bar and getting
your little Jimmy tossed on in the back of the 40 pot.
Yeah, that's the concern, right? And like my mom, I told her about this situation because I was like, hey, and she's like, oh, Fernando went out and he was out to the bar at 4 o'clock in the morning, I would also be, upset. I was like, well, why? She's like, well, she just doesn't feel comfortable with it. I was like, well, that's a trust issue to me,
Well,
that's what it sounds like to me. That it's like, at the end of the day, can you trust me to go have, a drink and a quesadilla at the one place that's open to serve food and has people?
And you play darts too, so like that's a place you socialize at.
Yeah, or pool or whatever. But so it's funny because like I changed my mom's whole perspective on it because I was like, you know how many drinks I have at the bar when I go? She's like, what? And I was like, 1.
Well,
I have 1.
so you don't really drink.
Like, I I spend like $25 max. And that's usually when I get bonding a drink. You know what I mean? Like usually I don't even spend that much money because I'm not there to get drunk.
Understood.
I'm actually not like having a bad habit or anything. I'm just, you know, being around other people and saying hi and trying to meet more friends in a town that's small and
the fact that you
where
moved,
there's nothing to do.
y'all did move out to the middle of effing nowhere, so it's not like you even come across people in your day to day, really.
Right.
Because don't y'all live like way out there on a cult compound?
Yeah, but I went to Kokomo. I go to Kokomo for this.
I know that, but I'm just saying from your day to day, it's not like you're meeting your normal levels of socialization. You go to work and then you go back to the compound, like, you know what I mean? If you want to do anything or have anything that isn't directly related to your living room, you have to go out somewhere.
Well, and I said this too. I said, what do I do on my days off? Like, what is my social thing on my day off? Jiu-jitsu.
Yep. Can't do that at 3 a.m.
I don't go to the bars on my day off. If I had the choice of what I would do socially, if Gaha was open at midnight, I would go there once a week.
And I believe you, because when we lived together and I worked mid shifts and you were like working late, we would go to LA Fitness at 2-3 in the morning and just hoop.
You've seen me shoot free throws at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, on the
like
sketchy
my ass
part.
will just wake up and go do stuff.
So I understand you from that aspect where it's like you just want to, like, when you get the feeling to do something, you want to go do it, and that, I mean, that's your only option. But I also see her point of just like,
yeah,
on textbook 4 a.m. bar doesn't look good, but
it looks terrible. Like that's the thing too, is that I would tell the other part of this is that I lived that life, right? So I used to go to the bar when I was at Barksdale on swing shifts, getting off at 11 to just go hang out with friends. So this isn't even new to me.
Yeah.
Right?
This is like, to me, this is like one of those things
like,
too where like you did it in college or you did it in the military, but when you do it in college, everyone expects you to grow out of it when you leave college. But when you do it in the military, like, that's kind of how the lifestyle is for some people, not everybody. Nothing's absolute here. Obi-Wan. But,
yeah,
you know, that's what people do. Like, you work a shift of the ops for, like, oh, we're going to go have street tacos and a beer and then go home. You know what I mean?
And, like, I've almost thought about just, you know, if the people weren't so lame, I would probably go to the VFW. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I
like,
can only fucking imagine.
That's where that culture continues. But I could not do it. Indiana VFW's got to be just insanity.
I would just assume it's full of Confederate flags, and you're not even in the fucking South.
Yes. It's got to be terrible. You know, because, like, people, if you talk to my grandfather, he'd be like, oh, you used to go to the E Club, or,
yeah,
you know.
Like, my grandpa growing up, I was a little kid. We hit the VFW for breakfast and shit. You know what I mean? Like, it was low-key lit. It's just a bunch of old crusty dudes smoking cigarettes and playing cards.
Yeah. And, like, I would be cool with that. Like, there's I think, an Elks Lounge down the road. Like,
fuck them.
Fuck. But if it was cool, you know what I mean? If they were actually cool, then I would consider it.
But it's not.
But I'm going to go where people that I think are cool at. Like, my type of people. And my type of people play darts and pool and quesadillas at the filling station. Because the filling station has damn good quesadillas.
In my head, too, it's like, I like to eat. I am not a social creature. I'm not nearly as social as you. But I like to eat stuff. I like to eat what I want when I want to eat it, which is my biggest thing about always wanting to live in a big metropolitan area, is that I can get whatever at whatever time. You know what I mean? Whether it be Uber Eats or like just a trip down the road to a taco truck. Like, I want to eat some shit. Sometimes I go home and I don't want what I have at my house. So I might, if I lived where you lived, there's a good possibility that I might go there just to eat some fucking different shit. Like some quesadillas, some street tacos. I don't know what y'all got. Venison.
Well, the
rabbit stew.
See, she'll feel better about all this if you move out here in the future.
I don't know why I should feel better if I'm out there because I'm starting the OnlyFans if I move out there.
Well, there's a 90% chance that we're just doing jiu-jitsu.
No blurred face. This is my face and this is my dick. Look at it. I got 3 chubby pale girls in here because this is the Pale Girls Club.
The lies you tell.
All right. So, UFC big fight weekend coming up.
Facts.
I am overly pumped for this. Hopefully, I get to watch fights before I go to jail for some dumb shit that y'all made up.
Allegedly. I said allegedly.
Don't plotting on me.
UFC 273 is effing wild, though, because you got Aljo of the division over here flaunting this belt that he did not win. He got a gold strap for getting his ass whooped and then crying like a little bitch. I can't. I'm not supposed to be using the word bitch because it's insensitive, but Aljamain Sterling, you are a bitch.
Why?
You're a bitch.
Why can't you use the word bitch?
Because bitches be bitches sometimes.
Why can't you use the word bitch?
Because it's not nice to the women who aren't bitches, but in this case, Aljamain is a bitch.
It's important to note this about rematches, right? So rematches work out really well, especially with titles, for the belt. So the person who wins, right? If the person wins is very, very happy about their win, usually they struggle on the rematch. If it's like a sigh of relief, or it ends up being like, let's go party it up, I'm the champ. If it ends up being like that, usually their rematch is a very difficult rematch, right?
Well, my thing is like we're in a very odds case then.
Right. So, and then the other side of this is if you are the loser and you take it like you missed a few things, you needed to adapt, all this crap, then you end up putting on a really good show, right? But in cases where the winner doesn't feel like they were at their best, right? Mm-hmm. And they're kind of pissed off at their performance, and they continue to take you seriously, usually you get fucked on the rematch. Usually the winner will win again, right? Because they won in the first place for a reason.
Yeah, there's a purpose.
And in this case, the winner was the loser, right? So Peter Yan won.
Facts.
Like it or not, Peter Yan won that fight. And Peter Yan doesn't feel like he won that fight. He didn't get to go home and feel like he won. He got to go home mad. He got to go home and train angry. He got to go home and feel illegitimate and watch some guy parade his belt around after he won.
He didn't get to enjoy the spoils of war. He won that fight. On paper, yeah, it's an illegal knee, but when it comes to just straight up combatives, you're fucking that man up. You won, and you can get none of that.
Well, when it comes to the legal section of the fight, you also won. He won the legal fight all the way, right? So before the illegal knee, he won the fight. He was blatantly winning the fight.
Objective.
It wasn't even close.
I couldn't give him a round.
Technically beating him.
I didn't give Aljamain a round, period. I know that's going to be controversial, but
Alexander Volkanovski versus Max Holloway, right? So Alexander Volkanovski versus Max Holloway.
Big difference.
Both fights were incredibly close, and both fighters felt illegitimate.
Facts.
They did not feel like they did their job, right? There was no finish.
No definitive
it went to the judges.
Winner on that one at all.
Right. So when they fought each other, it was like cookie cutter of the exact same fight again. Like it turned out the same way, right? Because they both took each other extremely seriously. Now the issue that I have with Aljamain Sterling in this case is Aljamain Sterling has been lying to himself
about
his performance and lying to the world about his performance
There it
into
is.
the last fight, which
There it is.
usually doesn't work out well.
No, if you have to convince
Because that means,
yourself
in my
that you were
opinion-
doing good, and you know, like, because you recognize you weren't doing good, you got dropped, you got your back took, you were not doing good. So for you to tell the world like, oh, he couldn't really handle me without an illegal knee on my 50-50 day at 100, I'm gonna get him. To me, you're just lying to yourself. You're just trying to create a little kernel of hope that you could grow something out of. Because you know he's getting that
The
ass
only
whooped.
way Aljamain wins is if that neck surgery did make him significantly better at fighting, which is not what a neck surgery does.
Never in the history. Like, how many
Like it or
guys have
not-
had neck surgeries and came back better?
Look, you can have a surgery and come back better as an athlete, but you're not going to come back better at fighting, which is what you lost. You didn't lose because you weren't the superior athlete. Peter Yan was definitely not the superior athlete in the ring.
Now, here's the thing, too.
Peter Yan was the superior fighter. Technical.
No one talks about this, at least not that I've seen, but Aljo, talking about the neck hurting before the fight. But I don't think the neck was as hurt leading into the fight as it was leaving the fight, because he got suplexed on the side of his dome piece. Jan hoisted him chest high, turned him and dumped him, and he landed right on the side of his head first and then cranked the hell out that neck on the way down. Then he even was acting funny about it after that when they got up. You know what I mean? So for you to tell me that this is, I have this neck injury that's been bothering me and I got to handle that and I'm going to come back even better. I don't think that neck injury was as bad as you're trying to make it out to be. I feel like it probably got extremely exaggerated in the fight when you got fudged and dumped on your head, which is supposed to be your expertise. Wrestling is the area of expertise for Aljo that he's supposed to use to topple Jan's reign. Well, the only thing that got toppled was that fucking flat top poof afro, and it got fucking slammed into the canvas and then beat on directly after.
So you have a neck injury.
Facts.
I have a neck injury.
Yes.
We both do jiu-jitsu, right?
Correct.
When I get headlocked from bottom half, right? When I go into deep half and I get headlocked / guillotined and I tap, I lost because it hurt my neck, right? Because my neck actually hurts,
Yeah.
right? Now, if I have a surgery or get healed quickly and I go back to that same position and my neck can withstand that kind of pain, then I start hitting my sweeps and all that kind of stuff and I start getting out of that. Yes.
That's one thing.
I can start beating people that do that to me, right?
But what if he's standing
if I'm
up
getting
kickboxing
rear
your
naked,
teeth down
if
your
I'm
throat?
getting nothing there. There's nothing neck about that. Well, maybe your head getting smacked back. Yeah, that hurts, but that's not why you're getting hit,
No.
right? Is he just stiff neck and just having to do this?
The problem
You know what I
is
mean? No.
Jan was making reads
His neck
on you.
moves. He was fine.
He's making reads on you, picking you apart. The body kicks I thought were super devastating, and no one talked about those. Jan was following everything with left hooks to the body. You know what I mean? Like, he was investing in the body work, which makes sense when Aljo came out the door hot with a pace that we've never seen him be able to sustain. So you can't put that on your neck. That's bad strategy and then subpar striking.
Not only that, but when you're in close, body shots are actually a better option than throwing headshots because of the angle. It's way easier to apply power to the body than it is to the head. So
And not just power, it's
That-
the landing percentage. It's a much higher strike percentage to actually hit its
Right.
mark.
yeah, because like I said, in this instance, right? Because we've had many rematches. We've had a ton of rematches within the sport of MMA, right? And you and I have watched enough MMA to know when rematches work out. Like, we can almost always call who's going to win a rematch. Like John
Right.
Jones, Daniel Cormier too.
Do that one's coming.
We knew John Jones was going to win that fight.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knew John Jones was going to win that fight.
Max
Right?
Holloway Volkanovski too. I believe we both
Daniel
said
Cormier?
expect more of the same.
Right. Daniel Cormier versus Stipe too. We both pretty much said Stipe was going to win that fight.
Oh yeah. There's too much we've seen in the first
Why?
one.
Because Stipe didn't get eye poked, and didn't get flash knocked out off of the clinch.
And he had time to recover from that Ngannou
Was that
fight.
easy?
Like, I still can't believe people don't give that its flowers. You know what I mean? Stipe took that turnaround from Ngannou to DC1 super quick.
And then what was DC's downfall in the third rematch in DC3?
But
The exact same issue,
Stipe
which was
making
that his
reads.
flabby stomach could not handle getting hit. He could not handle body shots, and you
Yep.
can't. He didn't do anything to fix that.
Stipe's people made the read
Maybe
on
if
the
he got
body, and you
liposuction, did
couldn't-
1,000 crunches a day.
You couldn't address it. And that's what,
It is what it is.
to move into the main event, the Volkanovski versus the Korean Zombie. Zombie stepping in short notice. There's something exciting to me about that because Volkanovski in his reign of terror at 145 hasn't had to deal with anyone with the exchange power that the Zombie has. Like, the Zombie is not technically better than Max Holloway. He's not a better wrestler than Volkanovski. His grappling isn't better than Brian Ortega's. Like, on paper, he's a subpar matchup, but he has the wild card thing to me that none of Volk's recent opponents have, and that's the ability to stank you with one hook. Because Volk likes to get in your face and press forward and press forward and press forward. And to me, what Max Holloway needed in all them fights to like really be that game changer was the ability to sit down on a power shot and earn that respect.
Was power. Yeah.
He just doesn't have it.
I still think that you could run Max Holloway and Volkanovski for the belt every 6 months, and you wouldn't ever have to have anyone else in that division fight for a title.
Well, facts, but that's why it's beautiful that
I still think Volkanovski's going to win.
This was a Max Holloway-Volkanovski fight, but with Max Holloway pulling out, we got the wild card. Like, I'm glad they didn't just slide it. Well, I guess Korean Zombie is kind of your next in line, honestly, given like the Ortega having just fought him and Yair Rodriguez having to be suspended. But I like that they slid it to someone who's a bit of a wild card where we could see something different. Because Yair Rodriguez would have been another like striking back and forth matchup. Like we seen what that looked like with him and Holloway. That was a fun fight to watch. He's a tough guy, but he doesn't have that power. Like, the one thing I feel like is a flaw to Volkanovski is he's such a hard-nosed come-forward style that if you can really sit down on a power shot like someone like either a prime Cub Swanson, prime Jeremy Stevens, or even the Korean Zombie now, like that throws a little shake in the mix for me, and I go, oh, that could be something to see.
If the Zombie wins, he won't hold the belt for very long.
Oh, no.
But it'll be there's a chance that like we get happiness from this fight, right? Because Volkanovski's a 50-50. You either like him or you hate him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still in the boat of I hate him.
Yeah, I don't really like
I hate the way he fights. I don't respect him as a fighter. I think he reminds me a lot of like a Tyron Woodley, how he's a little bitch about where he's at and doesn't like it when people question him, and it never really does anything to prove that he should be there. Brian Ortega had 2 opportunities to beat him that were pretty much locked up. I applaud his toughness, bravo, but you still got put there, which shows a lack of ability in your fighting technique. You can only last so long with toughness. Max Holloway didn't have the power to sit you down and arguably beat you both fights. Yeah. And you took the belt and, tried to convince everyone that you were actually better than Max Holloway when all you did was point leg kick him both fights.
Well, that's the thing about Volk.
There's that.
Is like, I respect him as a fighter. I don't respect him so much as a champion. Because I feel like how you got your belt and the way you sustained your belt is questionable. You had great moments with Ortega, like you said. Those are great moments, him being able to fight through that guillotine and all that. That's championship grit, you know what I mean? He's got that. But I still don't feel like you beat Max Holloway. And until you definitively beat Max Holloway or show me something that to me is equal of, I have a hard time looking at you in the way you want the public to look at you. He wants to be looked at as the undisputed, like, king of the featherweights. And I'm like, I still think the king of the featherweights is over there on the Hawaiian Isles living his life. You know what I mean? That's still the king to me because you didn't really beat him.
But as a as a shitty jiu-jitsu guy, as a 2-stripe white belt, I look at it from the perspective that if you get put in a mounted guillotine,
Yeah, it's bad. That's
you
a bad
lost.
look.
You lost. I don't care if you got out of it and you won. You lost. If you get put in a fully locked triangle, you lost. I don't care if you got out of it. There's a lot of jiu-jitsu people out there that are like, okay, you got put in a fully locked arm bar, and you ended up hitchhiking out, shoving the legs off, doing whatever you do. You lost.
I don't think I agree with you on this.
You lost to me because what I know is what happens after that in certain situations, right? So I know that your neck hurt to the point where you couldn't go in training after that fight. I know that guillotine had lasting effects, just like getting your nose broke in a boxing exchange, getting your eyes swollen shut, and then you end up winning the decision, because you won the first 7 rounds, but you lost the last 6. I don't like.
I get out of your
shit.
I get out of your mounted guillotine, and on the scramble I take a Kimura and I rip your fucking shoulder out of the socket. Did I still lose?
No. So, good point. No, you won. I'll give you credit for that. You won.
I hate to have to be on Volkanovski's side in that sense.
You lost. At the same time, though, I also I'm still looking at it from the perspective of that you got trashed on in one of the worst situations that you could get in, and you got out by luck.
But
and
I look
possibly
at it too,
lack of competence.
Yeah, like
in your opponent.
You got to take some responsibility too, because if I got out, it wasn't just because I'm lucky. You probably did something wrong.
For sure. So if I don't look at you getting out of, if I mounted guillotine you, right? If I am sitting there mounted guillotine all the way under your neck and you get out of that shit,
you did something
I am
wrong.
going to look at myself and say that I needed to do better. I need to find a better way to hit that.
Facts.
But you should also go home and be like, how in the fuck did I get there?
Oh, yeah, I'm not going to be happy that I got there.
Because,
but, I mean, if I get up and I knock you the fuck out, then, like, yeah, I'm not happy that happened, but I came back from it.
Like I said, I'll give you credit for it. I'll give you credit that he came back and, he stood in there and fought that. But you got locked into 2 submissions with a guy, into 2 of the worst submissions that you could be in.
2 of his best
and
submissions.
you didn't get out with skill.
That's what's crazy about
That's
that.
the other thing
is those are his like positions. He calls himself T-City for trying.
He didn't get out with skill either.
No, it was just flailing and like pure desperation. He even at least he's honest about that. He's like, I just fucking flailed and did what I could, keep the lights on.
So, I guess I'll alter where I'm at. You can't be that proud of your victory.
No, you don't get to.
You can be proud of
walk around and
your toughness
and do all that shit.
Right. Like, that's like one of those things that you definitely like. Man, that fucking guy had my number.
And that's still why plays into how I feel. Where you can't be the undisputed reigning king. Because you got these 2 fights with Max Holloway, which people like myself think the first one should have went to Max, and the second one's just as questionable. You almost got dealt with by Ortega. Good on you for getting out and coming back and finishing him, but at the same time, Ortega isn't the peak of the mountain, as we've seen, because Holloway dealt with him effortlessly, and you damn near got stopped twice. So to me, it's like this fucking cockiness that you're clucking around the fucking Aussie fucking street fair with isn't deserved. Same thing with Aljo. Like, you don't deserve to be acting this way. I don't deserve shit because I'm not a champion, but I'm not out here clucking around for the fucking hens at the slut house, acting like I'm the reigning king and walking around everywhere with my fucking strap like Aljo. Earn your shit and then talk your shit.
I also feel this way a little bit about Izzy.
Ooh, fun.
Izzy's kind of like that.
He's beat some folks.
Izzy sits there in close fights. You know what I mean? He'll sit there in close fights, hold on to his belt. You know what I mean? And
Vettori.
almost won't give the other guy enough credit.
Well, that's how I feel about Vettori, especially because you didn't do anything grand to Marvin Vettori. You beat him by kicking and running, kicking and running, kicking and running. You know what I mean? It wasn't like you didn't take shit to Marvin Vettori that made me say, like, you know what I mean, like you put a whooping on him. But you want to act like you did. Like,
Right.
all you did was slow his ground and pound down. Like, same thing. Like, you didn't, like, you won a point fight based off the fact that you clearly knew you're going to spend most of your time retreating. It's a way to victory.
Yeah, I mean,
but don't treat it like you devastated that man because you didn't.
I'm a snob for finishers. That's like the best way to put it. I applaud finishers.
I applaud if you want to be the king shit, as my mom likes to say. If you want to walk around here like you king shit, then you better really be king shit. Don't walk around here like retreating and then act like I'm the best, I'm untouchable. Like Kamaru, I'm just now going to start giving Kamaru his flowers because like he flatlined Jorge. Was he losing that fight? Not necessarily on the card, but like in the striking exchange, Jorge was starting to get the best of him, but he caught him and put him down. Same thing with Colby. Same thing with Gilbert Burns. It's like you may not have been winning throughout this, but you found a way to make it definitive. And like if you want to talk your shit with a definitive victory,
you won.
I don't have a lot to say. You get to talk your shit now.
Right.
But when you
I also have issue with the other side too. With like the guys like Nate Diaz who take their complete ass beating the whole time and then act like, you know, you got shorted on something just because the fight has 3 rounds.
Oh yeah. Like shout out to you,
like,
Nate. Like you're tough as shit, but you're just getting that ass whooped. I don't care what you say.
Right.
You're tough as they come.
Though, speaking of finishers, I think we're about to see a finish of Gilbert Burns again.
Oh, I disagree.
I think Hamzat's about to finish his ass.
You're going to hear it here first. I love an underdog story, and I know that, but I've been telling you that the most exciting fight in the welterweight division for Hamzat to me has always been Gilbert Burns.
Hamzat's going to finish him.
I don't think he finishes him, and if he does, it ain't going to be in the first round. I actually feel that Hamzat's going to get finished.
Hamzat's going to finish him second round. Early second round.
I mean, he's very dominant, and he trains with some big boys. I like stylistic clashes, and this is one of those for me.
I don't like the jiu-jitsu that Gilbert Burns does.
I'm not too much worried about the jiu-jitsu.
I love jiu-jitsu.
I like the brawling that Gilbert Burns does.
Same.
And that's
so I think if this fight
grace.
stays on the feet, I think that he's got a shot. But I don't think this bitch stays on the feet.
Yeah, there's a lot going into this. Like I don't know how Gilbert Burns' camp is choosing to strategize the stand up with the takedown threat, like because I'd really like to see some blitzes, get Hamzat going backwards and blitz and try to put some like heat on him quick, but at the same time, you know Hamzat is down to just drop to his knees and sell out on a fucking ankle pick. So it's like you there's always that tough balancing at the takedown with the striking.
I think if I had to make a bet on what you're going to see, it's going to be Gilbert Burns is going to utilize a lot of his bicycle. Lots of lateral movement.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of trying to pick shots on entries. It's going to be, I'm willing to bet that he is heavily focused on entries. Countering entries.
I'm really looking for...
Because...
Go ahead.
That's the only way I can see him stopping Hamzat from taking him down and then destroying him.
I'm
Hamzat's
picturing a third round finish for Burns. If he wins, he's got to be on the bicycle. He's got to be testing the angles, testing the movement. leg kicks, poking, prodding, cutting in diagonals. He's going to get taken down. He's going to spend some time on the ground. I'm hoping he's going to spend some time, being efficient with his energy while he's down there. And then, I think at some point in time, if he keeps cutting them angles and countering as I believe he can, he catches Khamzat. And that's the thing is Khamzat's chin isn't really – he's like every other 11-0 prospect to me right now. He seems like a fucking monster, but I try to not get caught in the hype that they always seem like fucking monsters coming through. And then what happens? Well, they get fucking chin wrecked. And then boom, they hit the top tier, the top 5 tier, and someone shows you that something's different. I don't think wrestling or grappling is going to be different. No one at the top tier can fuck with them on that, except for maybe Usman, and even then it's stylistically different, so it'd be fun to watch. But I think the power and the striking style that Gilbert Burns, as well as his experience, has an effect. Because I feel like Gilbert Burns could have beat Usman because he caught him, then got too confident and got caught. You know what I mean? Like, I still feel like Gilbert Burns is a great run on Usman, and no one wants to talk about that. Like, that wasn't almost a fucking fight-ending sequence before. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Like, Burns had the strategy to slow down that grappling, and I know it's a little different stylistically, but to me, he's had the right idea, the right strategy in mind. So now it's like you tried to implement it on the champ, and now we have like a pseudo-similar type of scenario for you to implement that again, knowing what you know last time about getting a little too loose.
I think Khamzat, the biggest difference between Khamzat and Marty is I think Marty wanted to use his hands.
Well, yeah, because
I think Marty actually wanted to use them.
Well, he was at that point with Trevor Whitman where he's trying to prove to people that he can throw them dick beaters a little bit.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that I think is the problem with the comparison and how you're gonna analyzing it in that way is I think Gilbert Burns has a lot of confidence in his jiu-jitsu, and he should. He damn well should.
Yeah,
the guy is a fucking god at jiu-jitsu, but I think the main thing that is bad for jiu-jitsu is very aggressive wrestling.
I get
like,
that.
Incredibly high energy wrestling is the thing that beats jiu-jitsu.
But I also think that when you take
what beats wrestling is great takedown defense and striking.
Facts. And I feel like with Gilbert Burns, he has very scramble-based jiu-jitsu when he's at the bottom. And Khamzat isn't Khabib, and he's not Kamaru Usman. He doesn't just sit there. He gives you openings because he's so aggressive with the striking. So I feel like that creates an opening for Gilbert Burns' style of jiu-jitsu to scramble back to less dominant scenarios, then find his way back up.
One of the things I really like about Khamzat's wrestling as opposed to the Khabib style and the Usman style is Khamzat is very good at getting past the guard with the takedown.
Well, that's what I mean, and Gilbert Burns is great at getting back to the guard, so it's kind of like if Gilbert Burns can catch him in the middle and make him play from the guard, it's like, where have we seen Khamzat really pass the guard, like, dominantly? He's there off the jump. Like, he goes straight to it.
I've never seen him work to pass the guard.
He's never had to, though, either.
I haven't seen that at all. He's always passed. Right, and I don't see a lot of great guard passers in MMA.
No, not really.
Personally, I don't see it. Personally, there is a ton of great guard passing people in the jiu-jitsu world, and it does not look the same. Like, when I watch Philly Fresh versus Gordon Ryan, Philly Fresh versus Gordon Ryan, you see the absolute dominance in Gordon Ryan's guard passing. And I don't care about the weight difference. On the technical level, the guard passing is so much better.
Yeah, but
it's not even just a little bit better, it's a lot better.
I don't know if Gordon Ryan's a good example because we've seen him do that to Jacob Couch as well.
So I agree, but I also don't look at Jacob Couch as a great guard passer.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, Gordon Ryan's
Or
so
a guard
good and so
retainer,
dominant
for that
that it's
matter.
like, I don't know if you can judge anyone in comparison to him. You know what I mean?
Facts. But like I said, when you look at it, when you see good guard passing, you know what it looks like, right? When you watch Andrew Wiltsey pass guard, you're like, there's not many people better than that. When you watch the way he passes guard, you're like, that's pretty solid. When you watch Gordon Ryan do pressure passing, you're like, that's what it looks like. And then when you go watch UFC and you watch people pass guard, you're like, doesn't even look close.
Yeah. But
right?
Gilbert Burns.
It just doesn't look the same.
But Gilbert Burns has something that I like to see, or that I notice in Alex Oliveira as well when they play bottom, is he hurts you. He hits you, he elbows you, he cuts you. He doesn't just accept, and that's definitely something you're not going to see in jiu-jitsu. Ain't nobody slicing your face with an elbow when you're trying to pass guard from like these deep body lock positions and these grinding, like Russian style, grind my way up your body. That's where, that's like I said, like stylistically, that's the best matchup to me. Because we don't know. I don't know that he's going to win.
That's another weird thing, too.
But this is like the two opposing things I would love to see happen.
I don't think that Hamzat's a presser. I don't look at him like he would be a pressure passer.
I just watch his training footage, and
That's
I see
the
him
other
doing
weird thing
the
about
standard Dagestani body locks and passing, dragging your head across the torso.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay, because I didn't see that.
But his takedowns are so dominant that we don't see that
that
because he's already in a dominant position off the takedown.
Yeah. He's side control, like, off rip.
And I feel like that's part of it, too.
Crawled up the body already.
You go all out to get there, and then you're already there, and he just never stops.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we never got to see him.
That's going to be the fight I want to watch. Well, I want to see those fights.
We never got to see him bang it out with the fucking Meerschaert, because Meerschaert got so fucking spooked by the wrestling that he literally just stepped straight into the most basic right hand ever and got himself fucking flatlined off the jump. And everybody's like, Hamzat's striking is so crazy. Good for you for throwing a standard 2 down the pipe, but that man stepped straight into it because he was like so worried about the takedown he wasn't even considering where he was at in striking range. Like, he walked into a right hand. So it's kind of like, take that for what it is. Don't act like that is like Mike Tyson style fucking hands because he flatlined him in the first round. No, he didn't set that up. He didn't lead into that. He just walked right in and he's like, oh, bang. You're right there.
Like when Khabib dropped Conor.
Yes, let's take this with the fucking grain of salt that it deserves. The wrestling did that and created that opportunity, but don't act like the striking was that superior, because now we didn't even get to see one of the guys that we were curious about his grappling aptitude against, Hamzat, even grapple, because we didn't get there. So now you're acting like, I hear, because I see people in the comments and I see people on social media, they're like, well, he dealt with fucking Gerald Meerschaert, no problem, he's a grappler. I'm like, you didn't watch that fight, bro. It lasts like 20 seconds. They didn't even fucking grapple. Like, that is not good MMA math.
Facts.
So that's what I mean.
And this is always the weird thing about trying to judge these MMA fights, is that you have to, the only thing that you have on the matchup that you haven't seen is their common opponents, their stylistically similar opponents, and like it or not, Hamzat has never faced a Gilbert Burns, and Gilbert Burns has never faced a Hamzat. There's nobody in that weight division that acts the same as either of them act. They are totally different animals than everybody else. Gilbert Burns, the closest person to Gilbert Burns is Kamaru Usman. To be honest, a primarily grapple fighter that can also throw hands with power, that's it. There's only 2 of those guys that we know of so far that are worth a shit. And when it comes to strikers in that division, you have
Jorge.
Who do you got? You got Jorge.
Jorge is arguably the best striker in that division. He was even.
Oh, I guess. you do have Colby. You have Colby when it comes to the wrestling and the
no power though.
But he can't throw hands.
He doesn't.
He can't throw
He doesn't
hands.
have power. There's a difference when you can wrestle.
And he doesn't have finishing on the
There's
ground.
different when you wrestle and you can throw enough power to make people questionable. Like, if Colby throws an uppercut and you're Kamaru Usman, you can, like, risk eating it. Gilbert Burns throws an uppercut on you coming in, that could be the end of the fight for you.
Right. Not only that, but Colby Covington's finishing ability when he is on the ground was trash.
Yeah, he's just not his style.
He had Jorge in a terrible position for 5 rounds.
Snitching
Pretty
is
much.
his style.
5 rounds. Yeah, he couldn't. He should have easily been able to finish him.
And let's talk about that.
I think Gilbert would have finished him. Marty probably wouldn't have finished him in that situation. Marty wouldn't. I don't think Marty would have finished him. But Gilbert, I think Gilbert would have finished him.
Like,
you let Gilbert Burns get on your back, he's gonna finish.
And I don't know why like everyone's sleeping on Gilbert Burns. Like, he's not right there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Same. Literally.
He's no.
The top 3 of that division.
He's number 2, is he not?
Is the same.
That's what I mean. It's like he lost to Kamaru.
God, that's.
And
yeah.
even in his loss to Kamaru, like, he almost finished the fight. I know almost. Yeah. It doesn't matter because what he got up and got dealt with. But it wasn't like he was dominated by Kamaru. That was a back and forth fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, that happens without the.
You can just say that he looked good.
Without the end of the round, you have a whole different outcome. Like, we could be looking at Gilbert Burns as the champ. You know what I mean? So, to act like
he just looked good, like it or not, he looked good.
That's what I mean. But like,
how many people look good with Usman?
Not very many. But that's the thing. It's like he looked good against Usman. He's not being talked about, and then you're going to give him this up-and-coming savage. It's like, I don't think we should just assume that Hamzat's going to fucking run through Gilbert Burns. Because if Hamzat runs through Gilbert Burns, I think he runs through Kamaru Usman.
Well, and so I'm operating off that I think he will run through Usman. I think Hamzat will be the champ.
Very interesting.
I look at him like there's nobody that at this point, from what I have seen from him, I don't know what you can do to stop that.
The only thing that comes
besides have such good striking that you knock him the fuck out.
There's only 2 things.
And I haven't seen him hurt, so I have no idea.
But you don't really see him get. Well, I've seen him get wobbled in his older fights, but he doesn't get hit a lot because of he's so aggressive with the takedown. You know what I mean? But that's my thing.
Right.
Someone
so
like him,
I don't know.
what you do is it's Mike Tyson. You punch him in the mouth. He's got that plan until you get blasted in the mouth, and that's all you really can't do. You can't give him nobody with no feather hands, no pillow hands like Colby Covington, just going to get straight effing dealt with. You got to give him someone that he can consider formidable on the takedown defense, but that has the power to get some respect. And I feel like Gilbert Burns and Kamaru are the only 2, so that's why I'm excited to see this fight. But I just don't think that he's going to run through Gilbert Burns like the public wants us to.
See, for me, I look at it and like all I have is evidence that I've only seen him run through everybody thus far, so I have no reason to think any different besides the fact that Gilbert Burns is the best one he's fought yet.
And this is what
That's all I got.
This is what we say about all the 10-0 and 11-0 guys that come up to the UFC. Then they hit the top 5 and they get fucking blasted, and then you go, oh yeah, they're normal.
Yeah, the only one that I saw that basically did that and went up through everybody was Peter Yan. Peter Yan was the last one I said from a very early stage that he wasn't going to have any issues when he crawled up those rankings, and he didn't have any issues when he crawled up those rankings.
Facts, but he's also formulating a different style.
That's
too.
it. Right, but like I said, he's the only one that I looked at from that situation and said, yeah, he's gonna win. I don't see anybody beating that dude. And Hamzat is like, to me, I haven't seen any reason to think that he's not gonna fuck everybody up yet. Gilbert Burns may show me everything I need to see, right? Because there's so much unknown on the table that I have to acknowledge that, like, I think I'm like 60% sure, probably, that I'm like 60% sure that Hamzat's going to beat him. But that 40% of the unsure side is like anything can happen, right?
Yeah.
So I know what the 60% will look like. The 60% of what I think is going to happen, right? His path to victory is going to look like Gilbert Burns getting freaking ragdolled and then put to bed, right? But that 40% could be him getting knocked out, could be
Getting submitted, choked out.
him submitting him. Then there's like this wealth of submission ability down there. There could be a fucking decision win. I've never seen Hamzat tired.
Yeah,
From what I hear, he can't get tired, but I've never seen him go in a ring for 3 rounds with another guy who's a killer on that level. So I don't know. Maybe he gets tired.
yeah. And like we've never really
anything
seen
can
him
happen.
go
That
through
40% is
adversity.
unknown.
Period. There's a lot
Right.
of guys that break.
So like I said, if I had to make a call, it's Hamzat ragdolls him and finishes him. Only because that's the most likely thing that I see occurring at this moment. However, every fight after this, I will know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Every Hamzat fight after this fight, I will understand what's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
I won't have I'll be able to bet the line all fucking day.
Yeah. If he ragdolls Gilbert Burns, I'm putting all the biscuits on him versus Usman. No questions.
I'll put all the biscuits on everybody since then. And the same with that is that if he loses to Gilbert Burns, everyone who's less than Gilbert Burns, all the money's on Hamzat. Anybody who's Gilbert Burns and better besides Colby Covington, all the money on those two. It's like, that's just how it's going to go. Jorge Masvidal versus Hamzat. If he ragdolls Gilbert Burns, Jorge Masvidal versus Hamzat. Jorge Masvidal gets ragdolled.
Yeah, he's gonna lose the decision.
I don't even think he'll lose a decision. I just know he's gonna get ragdolled.
Well, that's the thing. Is
I don't know how he loses, but he gets ragdolled.
I just don't think I'm not ready to sleep on Gilbert yet.
So, because it's like Peter Yan versus Aljamain Sterling. When we went into that fight, we're like, well,
We knew.
this is the first real test for Peter Yan.
Even then,
We've seen Peter Yan go against Jose.
I
We've
wasn't
seen Peter
considering
Yan
this a
go
test for
against.
Yan. Let's be honest. I did not picture Aljamain as a test.
But to me, I looked at Aljo as the best competition in that division for Peter Yan. The worst nightmare for Peter Yan was, in my opinion, Aljamain Sterling.
I agree that
At that exact point.
the one question we had going
At
into
that
that for
point.
me was, how good is the takedown defense from Yan? How good is that Tiger Muay Thai? And then we seen Aljo try to run at him, that high pace, and it falter left and right on the canvas. And I was like, oh, you can't beat him. There's no way you can beat him.
And then you knew exactly what was going to happen when he fought Corey Sandhagen.
Oh, exactly. When he fought Sandhagen, we called that off the jump. Even when they announced the fight,
You're
some were like,
Corey
should he take
Corey
that fight?
Sandhagen
I'm like,
has
he
length.
might as well.
Exactly. It was like it's going to be a win. He didn't knock him out, but he damn sure got close, and he's the only one to make Corey Sandhagen look like a damn fool on the feet. Like,
He
it
got
made him
paid,
look
and he
like
got
an
the strap
idiot,
back.
right? So it's the same thing. I look at TJ Dillashaw versus Peter Yan. I'm
that's
like, well,
terrible
TJ's going to get torched.
That's a terrible matchup for TJ. A little snake in the grass.
Right. But TJ versus Aljamain Sterling, good fight,
whoops him.
right?
Guaranteed.
Maybe. That's a good fight. To me, that's a good
I
fight.
I think people like Aljo that have to stand up on social media and tell you their legitimacy in moments where they feel illegitimate don't have the psyche to survive. Like once Jan destroys it again, he's done. He just crumbles.
Okay. Yeah, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with the mental side
He's
of
gonna
it
start balding.
going away.
He's gonna get alopecia. And you're not gonna be able to make jokes about him.
It's Well, and I kind of look at it that way with Volkanovski. If like Max Holloway fights him and he gets starched, like if Max Holloway was to finish Volkanovski, Volk would never come back.
I don't know. I feel like Volkanovski's got more of that, like, that grittiness. I think he's prideful and sensitive, but I think he's more gritty than Aljamain.
But I don't
Aljamain's
think
like, I'm from New York. I'm tough. I'm like,
look
you were
across the
never
ring.
tough. Just you always spent your whole life trying to be tough. Just shut the fuck up. You're a great fighter.
Anybody, like, what is his deal with repping Jamaica and also saying he's from New York?
That is someone who these are my personal beliefs. Someone like that with those type of issues has no self-confidence and like they're insecure about who they are as a person and their personal identity. And those are the same reasons I feel he'll break mentally.
Yeah, it's very weird to me.
Like that's
Like,
cool to
I'm
be
okay
proud
with
of where you're
that
from,
in some
like
ways,
your
but,
heritage,
yeah.
like where your people, your family came from. Like I'm Irish, that's kind of cool, but I'm not wearing a fucking Irish flag and then screaming I'm from Ohio and then being like, oh, I don't want this illegitimate strap, and then 2 months later going on the news and be like, I'm the reigning king, I got the strap. Like, come on, dude. Carry
Walking in
yourself
there
better.
with a book that says the rules of the UFC and be like, oh, I need to know what these rules are, dog. You just need to try to survive.
Bro, picture it this way.
Your best hope is that he doesn't know the rules.
Deem yourself lucky that he didn't know the rules and flatlined you, because you're going to get that ass whooped either way. But at least now you have like this little scapegoat where you can pretend to be the paper champ for a while. Like without that, you'd just be back home crying in the corner, not doing shit with your fucking fake ass gold chain.
He was never going to get another title shot so long as Peter Yan was the title holder.
Just be happy.
After that fight, he was never going to get another title shot.
Just be happy that
was
Peter
never gonna
Yan
happen.
allowed for you to get a higher cut of the paycheck on this next fight that you would have never got had he not devastated you in the middle of that octagon. You should be telling him thank you.
Because he would have to pray that TJ wins against Peter Yan, or
Just for it to make
in
sense.
freaking 2 years, Sean O'Malley comes up and beats Peter Yan, or, you know, Cheeto Vera somehow crawls up the rankings and beats Peter Yan. You would need something to make Aljamain Sterling look like he has a shot, and he'd have to keep winning, which he's not. After he loses this upcoming weekend, he's going to not win very much anymore. He's going to struggle for the rest of his UFC career after this. Aljamain Sterling is too mentally shot at this point to manage another loss to this man.
Yeah. I just don't.
He can't handle
don't
it.
like it. Don't come out claiming shit, repping shit if you're standing on illegitimate footing. That's all I got to say.
Facts. Do we have anything else to talk about, by the way? We're at an hour
I don't
and
know
30.
shit
You
about
got anything else,
fuck.
Liz? I think. You sound like a bitch. Yeah, that's all I got. I don't have anything else. Left hooks are free, right hooks are always half off. Fuck you, fuck your mother. We're out.
I'm sure she's a nice lady.